Sorry about the delay today. Today's topic is eDay posting, staff development with eDays. The date of those things need to be done in coaching. We thought it was a good time to go over eDays again. So honestly, let me hit, well, do not disturb the way it is. Wanted to go over our guidance and then talk about how we set it up here at National Trail. So here is our guidance straight out of our handbook. Oops, there we go. So although it says staff eDay stuff blizzard bags, our plan here at Trail is not to do blizzard bags at all. The plan is to do eDays. Blizzard bags are kind of the misnomer that a lot of schools that don't have technology and don't have the ability to post things do. We're really trying to do eDays as our primary thing. So it's a way of making up Calamity Days 6, 7, and 8. Basically, between now and October 31st is when we have to have 3 eDay lessons prepared for each class. That is not really true necessarily in the high school. It's eDays prepared for 3 Calamity Days. So, for instance, we go brown, orange on our eDays, so you'd have to have it for 2 sections of brown and 1 section of orange. Those may not be the same days. For instance, if your orange is anatomy and physiology and your brown is biology, then you would have to have 2 lessons for A and P and 1 for biology, but you don't have to have 3 prepared for each class. You have to have prepared for 3 class days. That may be 3 prepared for each class for instance, in the middle school, perhaps they do different kinds of schedules than we do here in the high school. But it's for 3 days in your school determines what those 3 days are, really, whether you're elementary school, middle school, or high school. High school, we do brown, orange, brown as those 3 days. So those will be prepared by the end of this month. Then basically our administration staff get a chance to look at those. And then between the 7th and December 1st, sometime in that period, in each one of your classes, you're supposed to do a practice eDay to make sure your students in your classes know where to find them, know how they're going to be posted, and can do the activity. And then when they actually happen, by 9 in the morning, those have to be opened, and they'll be opened for 14 days following the return to school. So if an eDay happened on a Friday, and we had it, or a Thursday, and we had an eDay on that Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday off, we come back that following Monday. It's 14 days for both of them at that point. They'd both be due on the exact same day because it's 14 days following the return to school or 14 days pending. So if it was something like that, they wouldn't get more days for the second one, but if the first one was on Monday and the second one was on a Tuesday, and we came back on a Wednesday, it'd be 14 days from that Wednesday again. I guess that's bad again. But anyways, you get the idea. 14 days after we come back. So that's our guidance. And then I just wanted to hit the ORC really quickly. If you want to look at it, read the whole thing. Realizing that we didn't have to. We could do makeups for all these. The dates are really basically the same thing. And then it says as soon as practical after school closure, we set 9 a.m. Because you could say earlier than that, but 9 a.m. seemed like a good time to set that everybody knows that those will be done. ORC provides 2 weeks from the date of posting, but then it goes on to say if they don't have access to the computer at the student's residence, which we don't have a firm way of going into everyone's house and knowing that, then it's 2 weeks from the date of reopening. And it does say, we have in the past had people say, hey, you can't do work on eDays at school. It says specifically on ORC that time can be given before, during, or after the regular scheduled school day to provide them time. So can they do it during the school day? Yes, they can. They can't do it instead of doing your class. In other words, if you had time set aside for quiet time in your classroom or study hall, they can certainly do it then in their room. So how do we do eDays? Well, the first thing is our eDays, because of the way our blocks are set up on Moodle, we want everyone to have an eDay block that says eDays, eDay lessons, something like that. And then on there, we want everyone to have set up their practice eDay, eDay lesson 1, eDay lesson 2. In the case of the high school, it might say Orange Day 1, Brown Day 1, Orange Day 2. If you don't have a brown day, it might just say Orange Day 1, Orange Day 2 / Calamity Day 3. But it should be easy for them to come to this section on eDays and say, okay, here's the one for this date. And I will tell you that when the eDay happens, I put the date in here, where, like it says eDay lesson 1, if it's the 21st of January on that day, I'll go down here and actually edit that where it says eDay lesson 1 and make it say 21 January 2020 this time. And now, when my student comes into this, there is no question that this is the one that they're looking at. So we want to make it really clear and really obvious to our students where they're supposed to be looking at for particular eDay. Nothing wrong with having 1, 2, and 3 as we set those up for our administration to come in and look for them. But when it actually happens, you have to have it open by 9 a.m. I'm going to click on it anyways to open it. I might as well put the date in there so it's really clear to the parents and to the students exactly what assignment they're coming in here to look at. And on that, it also says in the ORC that they should be updated as applicable. I can go up there and show in the ORC. To the extent possible and necessary, classroom teachers shall update or replace, based on the current instructional progress, one or more of the lesson plans developed under of this section before they are posted on the web portal or website under blah blah blah. So we are expected to not make a lesson in October and necessarily just leave it. In my hardware class, and I haven't started working on mine, so I haven't looked at it since last year. But in general, if I go to my eDay section, in here, look how many different things there are. That's because I have my practice lesson here, and I've got a variety of different lessons down here during the eDay, and I'm going to open up the one that makes sense for when we're doing it. So there's no reason to say I've got one, and I will use all those lessons. They're all blended lessons that I use. They could either be a regular assignment or an eDay assignment. In fact, in many of my sections of my class, I could just pull down a lesson that we were going to do that was a blended lesson and move it into the eDay section, or copy it into the eDay section, so that's an option down there as well. So, big thing here is we have to build them now. We have to have them ready by the end of October, but they're not a static thing. The idea is that they are fluid. We change them when the weather comes in. I'm not going to change mine until the night before, when the forecast is for 5 inches of snow. I might go in and update it tonight, so that if it happens tomorrow, I go boom, and I can upload it. During the eDay, staff are expected to be available throughout the day, and I'm going to say roughly 9 to 3, based on your day, that if a student emails you for help, you should be available, answer that question, and get back to them within a half an hour. And that means either you got your phone on you, or you've got it up on your computer, so you can just walk over there and see if anyone's emailed you. But you can't say you're available for email and then you check it at the end of the day and email them back, because then they didn't get the help they needed for their lesson. eDay lessons should be relevant, but not necessarily overly rigorous. We shouldn't have the hardest day that we have during the year be the one that we're not with them throughout the day. So there's a lot of different options when I do my eDays, and there's some examples down here that I, for some reason, have hidden. I'm going to go ahead and unhide that topic. Will let me click on that? What are we doing? Oh, I'm missing it because I enlarged it. Right. show topic. These are, some of these are old and may not be perfectly perfect examples right now, but you can go through and look at each other's stuff. And if you're taking over a class, you should be able to see that. The big thing with eDays is that we have content and an assessment. There has to be some kind of content delivered, some information that you gave them, instruction. Whether that instruction is a video or a reading assignment is inconsequential. It doesn't have to be a video just because it's electronic. It's delivered that way, but that doesn't mean you can't say click on this link and read this article and write a synopsis of it, because in that you got content and you got something that you can grade. I will tell you that because of the fact that we want to be able to track these, or we have to be able to track these whether they're accomplished. My personal philosophy is I use a Moodle quiz to do the check of whether the student did it, because then it's automatically graded, it's automatically in the grade book. I know right away if the principal says who hasn't done your eDay lesson, I just have to look at the grade book and where there's zeros or no grades, and that's who hasn't done the eDay lesson. And you can have those things integrated together. For instance, if I have an eDay assignment on the video card, it says these two assignments are gotten graded to complete the eDay. So first they have to do this quest, which is I've moved it or something, which, like I said, I haven't done it before. And then there's a quiz at the end of it that they have to go and do as well, and I moved that one as well. I haven't worked on these yet, so bad on me for using that and not even checking to make sure that it was working. Let me see that video card installation. Okay, so here we have an eDay that is a Edpuzzled video. Edpuzzled meaning that they have to watch the video, and then at the end of it they have an assignment that they have to do. Watch the following video of our class and answer the questions below, and then the questions are part of the video to make sure they have to watch the video as well. I like personally to make it either something that, well, it should be a graded thing in Moodle so that I can easily see who's done it and who hasn't. So let's do an example. Let's put together an example eDay assignment. In fact, I'm going to do it in my class. So I'm going to turn editing on, and I'm going to show a couple different ways to do it. So the first one, I'm going to add an activity, and because of the way I want to do this, I'm either going to do it, my preference is to either do it as an assignment that I'm going to go in and grade that thing, or I'm going to do it as a quiz so that it's going to automatically grade that thing for me. So let's go ahead and do this one as a quiz. So I'm going to do it as a quiz and say eDay lesson on eDay lesson on calculating power supply wattage. And just so you know, I'm doing this on the cuff. So I'm going to look for a YouTube video on calculating power supply. That's my next show. Okay, so I'm looking for a YouTube video on how to calculate power supply wattage. Let's see.
The computer power supply. It's almost as mysterious as the phrase, "I'm fine, just leave me alone." I mean, what does that even mean? If I actually leave you alone to go play video games, will I be making a huge mistake in the number of watts that the unit... Now, for power from the wall, there are two ways that the...
I'm going to pretend this is a perfect one. So I'm going to copy the YouTube URL right up here in the top of it. So I go up here and I'm going to hit Control-C. And I'm going to go back to this quiz. So I'm going to say, first I'm going to say, watch the following video on power supply before answering the questions. And then I'm going to just post that URL right in there. I'm because it's a quiz, I'm going to go expand all. I'm not going to apply any date on there. However, the morning of the quiz, this is a good one to make sure they get their stuff done. So let's say this eDay is going to be tomorrow. So I'm going to say open the quiz on the 2nd, because I can do this the night before, at 9 a.m. And I'm going to say we're going to come back to school on the 3rd. I know we are. The weather's supposed to be good again. So close the quiz on 3rd plus 14 equals 17. 17 at 23:59. Oh my goodness, look how much I just did there. So I'm going to say it's automatically going to open tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Kids can start doing this activity. Boom. Why would I even say 9 o'clock? I'm going to even say earlier. I'm going to say 7 o'clock, so if they get up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed on the snow day and want to get to work, I'm going to let them get to work. But you could say 9 o'clock. I'm going to close it 2 weeks after the day after, realizing that I can change that date anytime I want to. Open attempts are automatically submitted. Let's see, grade category. I have an eDay category that I put my stuff in. So I'm going to put 3rd quarter eDays, because that's probably what's going to happen, 3rd quarter. Grading method, highest grade. If you want to allow them unlimited attempts, you can say the highest grade, the average grade, the last grade. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Why not? They're going to try to take this. I'm going to do it as many times as they want to. Try to get 100% on that quiz. If I could say average, which means they can't ever get to 100, but they can keep raising their grade. Although, if they did it an infinite number of times, I'm going to say last attempt. I'm going to leave all these set the way they are. They're basically going to see whether they got them right or wrong. This is an important one down here. This network address, I got to delete it. If that's there, it means they can only do it at Trail, and they won't be able to do their eDay. And so I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm not going to do activity completion on this. And I'm going to save and display. So I've just made this quiz that says, hey, watch the following video on power supply calculations before answering the questions. They now have an eDay that they're going to come in and watch a video. Now, that was a short video. That was a 5-minute video. And that's not really a full class worth of content for me. I might, hopefully, I might have another video on power supplies underneath that. So I might have a couple different things on power supplies that I put in there. And then I can go, and let me bring my administration block back. I can go and make some questions for the quiz right now. And since it's on current material that I'm actually going to go over, I'm going to say add from my question bank, chapter 3, and I'm going to just say these. I obviously would do a better job of picking out my questions than this. I'm going to add those selected questions to the quiz. And I'm going to say, I'm done, I've got an eDay. So this eDay now is down in here, and I'm obviously going to hide this. But this eDay down here, I've just made one that is going to give content and give an assessment. Overly simplified, perhaps. I don't see why it has to be a ton of questions. It doesn't have to be a 100-question quiz at the end there. Maybe 5 or 10 is enough to say, did you watch the video and did you get the most important information out of the video? Maybe I add a couple more videos. I will caution you on adding too many videos onto your eDays. And my caution about that is this is fine if you live at Brian Poole's house where technology is everywhere. But not every kid lives at my house. And you possibly could be giving a number of videos to a child that has one computer in their house. Yes, they have the internet. Yes, they have a computer. But if you've got 4 kids fighting over the same internet access, which we have had at our house before when we had 3 kids doing EAs at the same time, and the internet wasn't working very well, and we were actually using the hotspot on my phone because there was a problem with the cable, and if there had been all videos, that would have been kind of tragic. Is there anything wrong with 2 or 3? Absolutely not, as long as they're short ones like this. But if you gave a 45-minute video, and another teacher gives a 45-minute video, and another teacher gives a 45-minute video, that student is using all of the internet for their house, possibly. So that's why I would say mix it up a little bit between reading assignments and viewing assignments. Neither one of them is bad as long as they're, controlled and not too huge. I could easily also have in this same one that they're watching the video. Let me go back to all here. Let's see if I got an article. Okay, I'm going to put this one on there as well. So I'm going to go back in here and edit settings. And now up top here, I'm going to add this article as well. I don't know if this is going the right thing, so I'm going to go another button. It is, okay. But I'm going to say open a new window, create link. Watch the following video on power supply calculations, and then read the article. We're answering the question. So now I've got one that's both a video and an article, and I've clicked on that so the article opens in a new page. And maybe I just take this information and make it into a separate article. You get the idea. So that's one way of doing it with a quiz. It automatically opens and closes. They see when the quiz closes. They'll know the whole time. They'll get actually notices on Moodle that the quiz is closing in this much time. In fact, if they're on their calendar, see that it's right there that the quiz is closing, and they'll know that that quiz is closing on that date. So I'm going to go back to eDays. The other way I would recommend doing eDays is if it's an open assignment that you either want them to turn something in, or you want me to do them to write something as their response. You can do it as an assignment. So if I add an assignment, again, power supply calculations. Now I've got this whole area, and for those of you that aren't new to Moodle, I can hit this button to go get more buttons, and then I can hit this button to make it full screen. I've got the full screen editor. I can pop anything in there. Avoid 100% avoid using anything with Word. I would put everything in Moodle, because then you know they're going to be able to get to it from their phone, from their tablet, from their laptop, from any device they have. They can get to it. If you post a Word document, they may or may not have a Word viewer to be able to read it. If you post a PDF, they may or may not have a PDF viewer to read it. But if it's just a web browser thing, then they are 100% going to be able to read it. They wouldn't be here in the first place. And if they're an IEP student, their screen reader stuff will work as well. So I'd highly recommend putting all your information in here, which kind of goes back to, if I really wanted to, I could have taken this, all this information, and put it right there into Moodle. And now screen readers are going to work. They're going to be able to get to it. Doesn't have to go to another page. There's no question that it'll be there when they come to it, linking to other places like we just saw with my eDay that I need to update. If I link to somewhere else, it may or may not be there next year. Why would I want to reinvent the wheel? I want to keep it relevant, but this information has stayed the same for the last 10 years of my class. The only difference is, what am I calculating it for? So do I want to every year remake that eDay, or do I want to know, hey, it's right there. I might change the wording, I might simplify it or something, but I haven't lost it all like I did with those other two links that we just saw. So that's one way of doing it. Okay, so I've got that there, and I can say, for those of you who can't read that, it says calculate the wattage of 3 different PCs that you find. There we go. That you find on the web. Submit a link to the PCs along with your calculations of the PSU power supply unit wattage. I'm going to change the font on that so it's large. I'm going to put the word assignment. Okay, so there's their assignment. I got a little bit of reading. I would obviously have more. I actually have, because I've been calculating all my classes for so long, I could just take the class and when I taught them how to calculate power supplies, I could put it right in there so they've got that to reference as additional material and then have that assignment right there. So now I've got this assignment. I didn't mean to hit that one, I meant to hit that one. I've got that assignment in here. I'm going to scroll down. What's my availability? It's going to open up. Show more. Allow submissions from. I'm going to enable that. And I'm going to say, hey, it's going to open up tomorrow at, I can see 9 a.m., whatever. And then it's due. I'm going to put tomorrow at 1600, and I'm going to cutoff date. In other words, it's got to be done. I'm going to come back on the 3rd, so I'm going to say by the 17th, because this is how long I have to give them till, right? 23:59. So they're going to see that it's due tomorrow. I want it done tomorrow during the day. However, they can continue doing it up to that date. Now down here under the submission types, I have options. If I don't check any of these things, it's basically saying you're going to hand in a piece of paper. I could say online text, which is going to give them the same kind of online text editor that we've got, that they can put it right on there online. Or I can allow them to upload a file. Do I really care which one? Don't, because Moodle now will change either one of those into a markup PDF that I can look at here in a little bit. Okay, so maximum number of uploaded files, I only want 1. Why would I allow 20? Let's see, feedback types, I'm going to leave that right the way it is. Grade, it's going to be out of 20 points. And I'm going to say that it's going to go into my eDay category, 3rd quarter eDays. And I got no restrictions. I'm not going to say there's a completion status on that. And I'm going to save and display. So this is what my students are going to see now when they come here. They're going to see a little bit of reading, assignment, calculate the wattage of 3 different PCs on the web. So I'm going to link to the PCs along with calculations. Okay, so those are 2 different ways that I can do it. The big thing I want to take away from this is that because I put dates in there, it shows up on my calendar for the students every single time they come into the class. Now I've got 2 eDays showing up on there. The other one should, oh, there we go. Opens up, eDay lesson, my students are going to be confused. But when they come on, they're going to be able to see what's due, when it's due, and I have to make sure, obviously, that I get the eDay section open. My eDay section is available from September 1 on. I'm going to change that since I'm still working on it. Let's change when it's available. eDays, restrict access. I'm going to say from, let's just say 1. Actually, they're supposed to look at them. So I'm going to say 7 November on. Actually, since it starts at 00, I'll say 8 November on. So those see those, and that'll remind me that that after that date, I need to do my practice when I'm with my students. And I have to come back here and kind of clean it up and get it ready for when the principal might come in here. So I'm going to have an eDay. Here's my practice stuff up here. Here, let me kind of switch views. Turn that off. Switch to, because I've got all those things showing up there. Of course. So when he comes in, he's going to look. He's going to see that practice eDay. I've got these, and I don't have those showing up the way they should. But I'll have eDay 1, 2, and 3 showing up on there as appropriate. for mine. Let's see, eDay 1, Orange Day, whichever hidden for sale. I should have that on. Show. There we go. And then my eDays will be down below. So that's basically it. Now, the big got you, we have had eDays going on for a long time here at National Trail, and just like you saw on mine, you really need to make sure you don't just sit back and say, I did eDays last year, they're all set up. You need to follow this links. You need to make sure they all work. Obviously mine just did not work, but I haven't worked on them yet. Make sure they're all good to go for when the administrators look at them. But again, as we're coming up on the inclement weather, start thinking about what am I doing now? How can I update those eDays? I'll be honest, what I generally do is I make blended lessons that I leave down here, and then when I get to that material, I just move them up into my class and use them in class. I don't say, oh, I made something that I can't ever use. I make something that I will use, and then put the most appropriate one, I slide the most appropriate one down as we go through the semester. So I'm like, okay, we're in chapter 4, so I'm gonna move the chapter 4 eDays back up into my lesson area and move some chapter 5 eDays, our blended lessons, down into the eDay section instead. Hopefully that covers how eDays are supposed to look. Again, they should be up in their own section in your middle class. They should be easy to find. That's why I like using the course menu on the side. Somebody can just go, oh, eDays, then click on them, and they're in my eDays section really easily. When eDays happen, I will usually have a link as well. You can see I'm not using my general section up here for anything, so it disappears because there's nothing in it. But I could easily do this. I could make a label. It says quick link to eDays. And I'm going to open up my eDays over here to show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the eDay section. And this URL up here now goes straight to eDays. So I'm going to copy that. And on this label, I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to say link. I'm going to have it go to that spot. I'm going to see create link. I'm going to make this centered. And I'm going to make it way bigger. This is quick ink. That's not what I wanted to say. And there's going to make it bigger. In fact, I'm going to even make it bigger than that. I'm going to make extra large. And then I'm going to say save and return to course. Turn editing off. Now, because I have something up there, it shows up. You notice it didn't show up before. And if I click on the quick link to eDays, it goes and loads straight to my eDays, which will make it easier for my students. On that eDay, I can just unhide that link right there. And then they'll see, boom, quick link to eDays. I'm going to hide this now. Because if I turn that, hide it, you will see that section go away when I go to computer hardware. You do not see it go away. So I've got that in there. I'm going to move all the way down to my eDay section. Yeah, no, that's great. Where's my eDays? There we go. So move that down there. If I turn it off now, does it go away? Yeah, so if there's anything in there, even if it's hidden, I wonder if it would have seen it for students since it was hidden. Because I don't use the general one at all. It's part of having a clean middle course, by the way. When they're in any given section, there is nothing up top. They're just in that section. No gobbledygook up top in any of my stuff. Let me go to the clean view. So there's never, ever, ever, when they come into my class, they pick the current section, and all they get is the current sections. There's nothing else on top. If I have other stuff I want them to see, I have it over here in our course info thing on the side, which you can see I had collapsed. Anyway, that's it for eDays. If you have questions, please stop by. I don't want teachers to get caught unawares of the fact that eDays are due by the end of this month, and I wanted to kind of go over the easiest two ways that you do eDays, quizzes and assignments, and I highly recommend you bring that information. If it's a link, bring it into Moodle so it's easy to find and read. You can post worksheets. However, I highly recommend not doing worksheets because you don't know whether people have a printer at home, and then you basically just give them a bag at home instead of giving them something to do here. It's just now they have to print it out their house. So I never make anybody print something out on my eDays, and that's so they can just do it online. They can do my eDays right on their phone. They can watch the video on the phone. They can take the quiz on the phone. They don't have to have a PC, which makes it a lot easier for a lot of households. And that is it for eDays.